PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of We Have the Power is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Well, welcome to another segment of We Have the Power. We're going to go over something that you can utilize immediately, and that is how to be happy with no medications, no witch doctors, no special things other than you doing the work. And it's so easy. Right after this important message. If you have the proper tool, usually things just go better. And one of the best tools in keeping our young people away from drugs and alcohol abuse are the booklets from the Drug-Free World Truth About Drugs organization. Now, they have a series of booklets. Certainly, this is a drug that is out there, marijuana, and also they have it in Spanish. These booklets are free. You just go to drugfreeworld.org and you can obtain these booklets and share them with your family members, your friends. And this is a way to make sure they have the proper information, because these booklets do not say, don't take these drugs. They say this will happen to you if you do. And there's also a compilation booklet that has a series of different topics in there. One is alcohol, one is ecstasy, cocaine, crystal meth. We know that inhalants can be abused, heroin, LSD, and even prescription drugs can be abused. So use the right tool, get these free booklets from Drug-Free World, and avail yourself and your family members, especially young people that you know and are in your family, of these booklets, so that we protect our young people and our loved ones from ever getting involved with drugs or alcohol abuse. Great idea. Welcome to We Have the Power. I'm your host, Brian Gardner. Like and subscribe for a constant flow of information on how you can be happier, how we can make sure we do not lose our freedoms and liberties. Now, today we're doing a show that is called Clean Hands Make a Happy Life. And someone might say, well, you mean you have to wash your hands and you're going to be happy? Not really. We're talking about clean hands because ethical activity is another term for clean hands. If someone is stealing money from the till, their hands are not really clean. They're dirty because they're doing unethical things. And it's very important to understand that you are the person who is in charge of your happiness or your unhappiness, okay? You are. It is not the weather. It's not the government. It's not this, that, and the other. Now, these things can affect you, but there's also an interesting guideline, 2 rules for happy living. And if you can follow these, you can almost assuredly be happy. Number 1 is be able to experience anything. If you're a mother or a father and the kid crying drives you crazy, well, you're violating number 1. Be able to experience anything. Yeah, the kid cries. Okay, that's what kids do. Okay, it doesn't bother me. Number 2, cause only those things which others can experience easily. Second rule for 2 rules for happy living. Now, if you cause only those things that others can experience easily, you're going to be happy because you're not causing trouble to anybody. And the people around you are going to like you. You're going to have a lot more harmonious relationship with everybody. I know it's not easy. Be able to experience anything? You mean my son or daughter who has piercings here, there, here, everywhere, listens to music I would never stand to listen to for 5 seconds, be able to experience anything, cause only those things which others can experience easily, don't say things at the dinner table that's going to cause trouble. You're not going to be happy if everybody's arguing. Okay, see what you can do to come close to those 2 rules for happy living. Now, let's talk about clean hands make a happy life. Let's start with the most minor situation. And that is, we're working from the premise that people are basically good. Now, if you have a particular religion you are following that does not say that, just for the discussion on this segment, let's all agree for a moment, people are basically good. They're trying to do the right thing. When they do something wrong, they have to go, oh, I'm wrong. And that's sometimes very hard for people to accept. In fact, there has been some information that maybe that's kind of imprinted on everybody. You got to be right. So when people find themselves doing something wrong, they will come up with all kinds of justifications. You know, I don't like my neighbor. He's always doing this, always doing that. And you find out that you scratched his car when you backed out of your driveway. Now, you don't want to accept the fact that you're wrong for not telling him and getting that scratch fixed. So the best way to minimize that is to make his things bigger, which are nothing. When he cuts his lawn, he still leaves grass blowing all over. Well, that's really going to cause cancer or something. You know what I'm getting at here? Don't let yourself fall into that trap. Take responsibility for the condition you're in, the things you do, and it even starts very small. And let me tell you an example, because I try to follow what I'm talking to you about. And I have an example here that is so minor, but has such huge implications. So I go to Walmart and I pick up the items I want, put them in my cart, go in there and scan them, go out to my car, and something, I think it was maybe a candy bar or a burrito, frozen burrito, fell down into the cart where I couldn't see it, and I didn't scan it. I get all the way out to the car. It wasn't really late at night, but I didn't really want to walk all the way back in there to scan the darn thing. But I knew that that was the right thing to do. Now, people can justify it. If it was a candy bar, oh, the candy bar company makes millions. They're not going to miss this. Walmart's not going to miss this. What's the big deal? I'll explain that to you. I put the stuff that I scanned into my car, locked up my car, came back in, talked to the lady who checks your receipts. I said, look, I did not scan this item. It fell down in the cart. I want to scan it and pay for it. She goes, yeah, go right over there. Go right over there and scan it. Now, why did I take the time to do that on some minuscule item? Here's something that I want you to think about. If I hadn't scanned that item, said, oh, they'll never miss it, I'm going home, I'm not going back in there. The next time I come into Walmart, I've got this feeling, I wonder if they know. Oh boy, because it's sitting there that I didn't scan that thing. If you're an ethical person, if you're a completely unethical person, maybe you can justify it so fully that you don't think about it. I'm talking about really kind of good people. And everybody is basically good. But the average person, and now you're coming in there and you got this mental stuff going on that does not have to be there. Now when I go into Walmart, I don't worry about anything because I scanned that darn thing. I have paid for everything that I have taken out of Walmart. So when I come into Walmart, I feel clean. I don't have a tension like, I wonder if they know what I've been doing. Now, that's a very minor thing. Let's take something bigger, like something pretty horrendous. You cheat on your partner. Every time the partner comes home, I wonder if they know, and you got all this mental stuff going on. How can you be happy with all that junk going on? Whereas if you didn't cheat on your significant other, they come home, you're like, hey, come here, give me a hug, Because once you've done something wrong to an area, it kind of blunts your reach into that area because you're basically good. You don't want to harm that area again, so you remove yourself from that area. Let's take an example. Ted and all the Teds out there, I'm not talking about you. And Sally, all the Sallys, I'm not talking about you. Just using generic names. Ted is being abusive to Sally. Maybe beating her up, treating her, criticizing everything she does, yelling at her, making her do this, making her do that. And because Ted is basically good, he eventually decides, I'm breaking up with you, Sally. You know, you've got this wrong, that wrong, this wrong, this wrong. Minor things compared to what he's been doing to her. But because he's basically good and knows that he's doing wrong to her, maybe not on a conscious level, but as a being, he knows he is doing wrong. He then decides, I'm going to move over here to New York. And she's in Las Vegas. Let me ask you a question. Once he moves to New York, can he do any further harm to her? No. He has stopped himself from harming her because nobody was interfering and stopping him. He couldn't stop himself because he has some problem about how to treat people. So the best thing you can do is move to New York. Over here's New York. Now she's safe from his abusiveness. Unnecessary. Person gets a great job, making good money. The bosses love him. Everybody loves him. But he starts stealing from the till because he needs a little extra money. Okay, well, I'm just going to take a few bucks and a few more bucks and a few more bucks and a few more bucks. Deep within him, he knows it's wrong. His wife is happy he has this job. They're able to buy stuff, get a better house. You know, it's going good. He's putting his kids into college and he's continuing to steal money from the till or somehow steal from the company. And then he comes home one day and says, honey, I'm quitting that job. You know, these guys are so hard on me. They're terrible. They treat me bad. They look at me funny. All justifications to minimize what he's doing, which is wrong, and bring up over here the things they are doing, which are minor, but he's blowing way out of proportion. So he's less wrong. Yeah, you should steal from them because they do treat you bad. They look at you funny. So that's okay. You can steal from them. You know, it's that justification. So he doesn't have to be wrong. He ends up quitting the job, gets a flunky job. They have to sell the house, get an apartment. You know, all kinds of financial ramifications come about. The wife eventually leaves him because he's not making enough money for them to even have a happy life together. All that destruction to his life because he left the company so he couldn't harm them anymore because he couldn't stop himself from stealing from the company. That's why I'm telling you, if you are ethical, from the smallest to the largest area, you will be much happier and you will stop leaving areas that are good based on the fact that you don't want to be wrong and you have to give all these justifications why they're the ones that are really wrong and destroy your life in the process. Clean hands make a happy life. Find every possible way that you can be more ethical. And I'm not saying don't have fun. You can have fun. Being ethical and having fun do not equate. You can have tons of fun. Just be ethical in your actions, small to large. Set up a time in your family with your wife. Let's say, okay, you don't have kids yet. Set a time, a Sunday night maybe, where you say, honey, we're going to do this thing where it's free for all. And the rules are you can't criticize either one. but they get to tell you things they've done that maybe they shouldn't have done. Now, if it gets into cheating, well, you're going to have some help from an outside source. I'm talking about little things, you know. And Sally gets to go, well, I did this, I did this, I did this. And Ted just goes, okay, okay, okay. Now Ted says, well, I did this, I did this, I did this. And Sally goes, okay, okay. Now, why are we doing this? When you do one little wrong thing, it's like it kind of floats around. You're thinking about it a lot more than you realize. Then you do a lot of things, and pretty soon there's no communication going through. And then when you do a lot more things, it's even worse, right? You can't even see my face now. You don't want that to build up between you. That can cause the marriage to have problems. There is a marriage counseling where it says, what have you done to Ted that he doesn't know about? Sally, what have you done to Ted that he doesn't know about? Go back and forth. You get that stuff out of the way. Now, unless it's a recurring problem, you know, where over months and months and months, there's money being stolen out of your wallet or cheating or something like that. You know, I was supposed to come home and cook dinner for you because you had to go to a meeting that night, and I got into a store and I was really having fun looking at all these dresses, and I really should have come home like I promised you, and I didn't. Okay, Sally, I understand. And then Ted says, you know, I was out with the guys playing poker, and I know you wanted me to come home and watch the Olympics with you, and I got staying too long, and I was drinking when I told you I wouldn't drink. Then I couldn't drive home, so I had to have somebody drive me home, and they weren't leaving right away. So, and Sally goes, okay, all right. So you get that junk out of the way, because people are basically good. If you give them a chance to get these things off their chest and clear the air, your communication will be much better. If it's sitting there and the person's wondering every time, do you know about this? That puts distance and blocks to the communication. Now, there's another very important thing. One of the most important things I'm going to cover on this segment, and that is, you know what your purpose is, or you should find out if you're still a little confused. But once you know what your purpose is, if you are not doing your purpose, let's say your purpose is to be a lawyer or a doctor or a musician or an artist, if you're not doing your purpose, that is the thing that you know is your purpose, you're going to be totally unhappy. Let me give you an example, a personal example from my own family. My mom's sister, my aunt, was married to a guy named Bill. And as he was growing, his dad was a dentist. As he was growing up, he really got into wanting to be a gymnast. Now, this was back in the 30s and 40s, you know, men did not become gymnasts. They looked at you weird if you were a gymnast. That's what he wanted to do. That was his purpose. The dad goes, no, you're not going to be a gymnast. You're going to be a dentist like me. Unfortunately, this was toward the end of World War II. Bill's job was to accept cadavers, get into their mouth to find out their dental work, because everything else was blown away and so disgusting you couldn't tell if it was Bill or John or William or Ted or anybody. You had to go into their teeth, find their dental work, and figure out who the heck this person is. Can you imagine doing that? Spending your time in the mouth of a dead soldier blown apart when your purpose is to be a gymnast? Bill ended up doing that. Dad forced him to be a dentist. Ended up becoming a horrible alcoholic. My aunt divorced him because he wouldn't stop drinking. But I remember Bill came over every once in a while to see the kids. Mary had 3 kids. And he would tell us these great creative stories. He was a really good guy deep down, but hated his life off purpose, drank himself to death, died of cirrhosis of the liver, which is an alcoholic abuse disease. All unnecessary if a dad wouldn't have forced him to be off purpose. His purpose was not to be a dentist, okay? So make sure you find out what your purpose is and don't listen to anybody else. Do your purpose. Now, if you are 79 and you want to be an astronaut, well, you have to have some sort of reality in it, right? I mean, come on. You have to use some amount of reality and factual. Is this really possible? But even if you're in your 50s and you want to be an astronaut, maybe you can work in the space program. Or if you're 20 and you're young enough to be an astronaut, but it's pretty tough training, pretty dangerous, maybe you can work at NASA. So you're close to your purpose, let's say, because you realize that being an astronaut is kind of like winning the lottery. There's not that many astronauts. Or, I'm giving you those examples. Now, a key thing is being ethical to your standards, your goals, your, viewpoint of what's right and wrong. I can tell you a personal example of me. I was working at a Lexus dealership, and this was at a time when they had taken asbestos out of the brake linings because it was a dangerous substance and mechanics were breathing it and getting cancer. Well, the Lexus brakes were squealing, and these people buy this brand new Lexus and they got squeaking brakes and they are not happy about it. And we would take the cars and we would go in the back of the dealership and we would drive the cars and drag the brakes, heat them up. And for a while, it kind of would stop them from squeaking. They didn't have, it was when they didn't have a replacement for asbestos. Now the brakes don't squeak because they've got other things in them. But this was right when they took asbestos out of the brakes. This one lady came in. She goes, "I'm not buying it. My brakes are squeaking. I want you to fix it. Otherwise, I'm turning the car back into you." So the service manager comes to me, and I realized later he was testing to me to see if he could push me around. He goes, "Go tell this lady that we put the new part on her ES300. And I, being an ethical person, not wanting to lie to a customer, I said, "Well, is there a new part for the ES300? He goes, no, just tell her." I said, "I will not lie to the customer." Well, he didn't like that. He had to go out and lie to the customer. So I went to the general manager, said, "Hey, I don't like being put in a position, of having to lie to the customers." Well, he pulled the service manager in, talked to him. The service manager lied again, said, "Oh, Brian's making that up." So then the general manager called me back and said, "Hey, why are you lying about my service manager?" And I, who am I? I'm the cashier talking to the general manager. I didn't care. I said, "Don't you ever accuse me of lying again. I don't do it. Your service manager is the one who's lying. And I am not going to lie to our customers. You should support me. Don't ever let me catch you ever accusing me of lying." Luckily, they didn't fire me. They gave me a flunky job, filing and doing crap. And eventually I quit and got a different job. But I did not allow my values to be walked on. I could have said, "Okay, I'll go tell the lady, and we put a new part on, Miss Smith." Yeah. No, wasn't going to do that. Now, I'm not giving you his name so I can tell you. The service manager, this is where he was at, down here. He cheated on his wife with the finance manager. Okay, well, we see where he's at. Despicable. But you must not let your values be tromped on. Stand up for what you believe, and you'll be happy because you're doing the right thing. It felt really good. The smallest actions can have these large ramifications because you are the one that makes your feelings good or bad. You go, oh, I'd really like to, this thing is priced wrong, sitting next to things that are higher. Somebody must have mispriced it. Oh, I'll just get it for cheaper. Ha, ha, ha. You're not going to feel as good as if you take the item and go, hey, I was going to buy this and it was next to a whole bunch of the same thing. This is just a little stamp that I use at work. And so I wanted to ask you, is this one cheaper for a reason? Now, you're going to feel really good when they say, oh, yeah, that one, was mistagged. But because we mistagged it, we'll give it to you at that price. Next time you go into that shop, you're not going to go, wonder if they know. Are they watching me? All that mental crap going on. You're going to come in and everything's cool because they told me. Or they told you it's 50 cents more. It's actually it's $2.50. Sorry, but that's the price of it. Whatever. You keep these areas clean and you will find that you are happier. If you start seeing anyone in your vicinity, friends or family, start criticizing you, oh yeah, Dad, well, you're always doing this, you're always doing that, you're doing that. Those are justifications for the most part, unless you're being unethical to them. That is a sign that they have done something you don't know about. So you sit them down. Hey, what have you done that I don't know about? Do you know what my son said once? My son is a great ethical guy, really good guy. But as a kid, he had done something. I can't even remember what it was. When I sat him down, he was being pissy toward me. Yeah, Dad, this dad, man, yeah. I go, whoa, that's a sign that he's done something I don't know about because he's making me wrong to make his wrong less. So I said, hey, what have you done that I don't know about? He did not say there's nothing. Let me repeat that. He did not say there's nothing. He said, it's nothing. It's a thing. I said, yeah, it's nothing, huh? Okay, what are you looking at right now? Because he had it right there. It's nothing, Dad, because I've made your crimes and your bad points were so bad that this little thing I did is nothing. It's nothing. I said, what are you looking at right there? And he told me what it was. It was some minor thing. I said, don't do that again. You know it's unethical. You know it's wrong. The pissy criticisms stopped immediately. Now, with all this stuff going on, I've been talking about people acting out, acting badly. The last thing you want to do, and I'm going to do some shows on this, do not send them to psychiatrists because they will just want to drug them. Psychiatrists don't know how to fix mental problems. All they know how to do is to drug people to the point where, hey, George, I heard you were depressed last week. Yeah, I can't remember why, so I guess I'm okay now. The problem is still there. It's been buried under drugs. It has not been addressed. It has not been fixed. And if that thing tries to come to the surface again, more drugs, higher amount of drugs, drugs for a whole life, never fixing the problem. So watch for a future show on that because there are some ways to fix it. Clean hands make a happy life. If you can take next week and be as ethical as you can, little to medium to big. Think of every way you can be ethical and see how you feel at the end of that week. How can you lose? Clean hands make a happy life. You want to be happy? Start being the one that is in charge of your happiness by your own actions. It's okay to be wrong. If you're wrong, you correct it, you clean it up. Don't worry about being wrong. Don't justify being wrong by making their crimes higher than yours. That doesn't clean up anything. Clean hands make a happy life. I wish you much success. we will see you next Thursday at 5 p.m. for part 1 of a series about what the perverted elite has as their plans for all of us. And it isn't pretty, but we need to know about it so we know how to defeat them so that their evil, psychotic, insane plans never come to fruition. I'm going to tell you from my viewpoint what their plans are, why they have these plans, and how we can defeat them. I will see you next Friday, 5 o'clock, part 1. Thank you for watching. I wish you success. Clean hands make a happy life. Oh, yeah.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.